business ethos in the post COVID environment. There's a chat function at the bottom of your screen or somewhere on your screen. If you've got questions, please don't hesitate to use it. There are speaker notes. So if you want copies of those speaker notes, please, ask Catherine. You can see her right now. Jordan's also on as a panelist. Please ask her and she will be happy to wrap those up and send those to you. Not a big deal. I am, as you can tell, at a undisclosed location somewhere in Colorado, taking a couple of days off for a wedding. So that's why you kind of see the interesting background. But we're going to pack this schedule today. So Catherine, give us a couple of thoughts that we need to be aware of, and then we'll get started.
Sure. First of all, welcome everyone for joining. As Bill said, this is a webinar series, so we will also be posting it to our YouTube channel after today. So if you know anyone that wasn't able to join, we will be posting this to our YouTube. So stay tuned for that. Just like Bill said, if you have a question, you're welcome to send me something specifically in the chat, or you actually have an option down below called Q&A, where you can specifically send a question as well. They work equally well, and we really encourage you to participate, ask whatever's on your mind, because I think sometimes that's what makes the webinars even more helpful for people too. So thank you.
Great. Jordan's also on the as a panelist as well, and he'll make sure that I don't miss anything. He'll also have some thoughts. He's been working with HKA for several years now, and probably has some thoughts as we get deeper into some of these slides. Jordan, you might just say hi so they know the difference in our voice. How you doing this morning?
I'm great. The difference in our voice is Bill is going to be the very excitable one out of the two of us, and I'll come in with a calm, collected opinion.
That's probably true. The why, knowing your why, is one of those things that just fascinates me. First got to know this many years ago now, when Simon Sinek first came out with some of his TED Talks on the why. And I'm going to tell you right now that the two things: one, this is not the Simon Sinek why, but it is definitely the HKA way that has blossomed from Simon Sinek. Now more than ever in the post-COVID world, we need to be looking at our business. Our small businesses have to be transition ready. A lot of stuff's coming out right now, and we're going to be talking a little bit about it, but we've got stakeholders now as opposed to owners. We've got things about where are we in the remote environment. So it's time now to take a few minutes and really step back and get to know the business again. Why are we going to want to do that? If we know our why, we can react to a crisis. We can change our current approach. Now we can be ready for that. We can be poised to create the value we need to create tomorrow, but need to start today, that gestation period. And those all come from a real observation, acceptance, and commitment to knowing your why. So today's agenda looks a little bit like we're going to talk about the why. We're going to help you craft your why. We're going to talk about how the why impacts your business. I'm going to add a couple of names in there. Admiral McRaven is going to figure in here a little prominently. And then we're going to talk a little bit about creating that why. Okay. We'll summarize with what's your why. So if you don't have a pad and paper, you might want to grab one. I think that if you commit to this, we're going to get a little dirty here. We're going to roll up our sleeves a little bit. We probably won't get through it all because it's not a workshop. It is a webinar. But don't hesitate to ask questions, because it's critically important that if you walk away from this going, you know what, Kruse is right. We need to be ready to reinvent ourselves. We need to be ready. And in order to do that, we have to know our why. Then some of this stuff's going to be very important. So without further ado, we're going to get started here. So what is the why? Once again, don't be fooled. This is not Simon Sinek's why, but I am a student of Simon Sinek. And I truly believe it can change your life. I truly believe we must know our why in order to be prepared to change our business if we need to. And there's no question, but if we don't know our why, we will not accomplish our goals. So small business owners, if you don't know why you're in business, you're not going to accomplish your goals. It's that simple, okay? As you think about where you are in your business structure, critically important to know what's working, what's not working, okay? So how do we set up these goals? Not dreams, not homes, not hopes, not winning the lottery. These are real goals. What should we be doing? Now, who is Simon Sinek? Simon Sinek, if you just go to YouTube, he's got several videos out there, but he's got two. One of them is Knowing Your Why. It's his original TED Talk from, gosh, probably 2015 or something like that. That's the one with all the meat in it. And in this video, Simon Sinek kind of walks through how we make decisions. And he calls that the golden circle. So now this is what he also says is the science of decision making. It starts with that very inner cortex, whatever he calls it. I should have it memorized by now. But this golden circle is when we are making a decision based on our gut. We can't put it into words. I do a lot of that, and it frustrates people. I am visual, but I also operate a lot from the gut. When you operate from the gut, then what you're doing is you're using that innermost feeling, that innermost understanding to project itself out into decision making. So he is about why we do what we do. And he gives some incredibly good examples. Businesses who operate under knowing their why vastly more profitable and successful than business that are just kind of doing their thing. And he gives some great examples of that. One quick observation: if you Google the golden circle, you'll find that it may come up as a southern tourist route in Iceland. That's not what we're talking about. We're truly talking about, so you're looking for Simon Sinek, the golden circle, or Simon Sinek and Know Your Whys. So once again, these slides are going to have a couple of YouTube channels typed into them. So, if you really want to go watch those videos, and I would encourage you to watch them, then you'll pick them up from there. So what is my why? This last one is, at the end of the day, when you describe it, your why comes down to this, and these are Simon's words: go to work inspired, come home fulfilled. How many of us actually do that? How many of us actually do that every day? As a small business owner, you're not going to do that every day, okay? And we're individuals, we're humans, so we're not going to do it every day. But the preponderance of our days, we should be ready to go to work. We should be happy about going to work. And when we come home, if we're operating under our why, then maybe we've changed somebody's life. Maybe we've done something really good, but we come home fulfilled. So let's get started on, let's feel better about what we do. Let's make sure that we do this. If we can live this, go to work inspired, come home fulfilled, what a fabulous life. So let's get started. Now, this is one of my favorite quotes, and the team at HKA will tell you that I love movie quotes, okay? Not really good at knowing the movie, but I remember the quotes. And so this is one of my favorite quotes, and the whole quote is this: it's a dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. And that really, in a very small instance, is kind of how my day unfolds every morning, is how exciting it is to get started every day, how exciting it is to walk out the door. And so I want us to kind of keep that in the back of our mind as we go through this. And I think it'll help you understand why I think this is so important. Okay, so if we're not having fun, let's start having fun. Where are we going to go next? How do we get started? Know your why. Who's involved? Now, the first thing you see here is there's a lot of people I have here that are involved. And what you're going to find is that when you look at the preponderance of, I'm going to say illuminated people that are talking out there. So right now, no fewer than 19 opinion articles have been made, published in the Wall Street Journal since 2019 concerning stakeholders versus ownership and employees. This is the new language. This is what we must be thinking about. Stakeholders. It's not just about us, the small business owner. It's about everybody that we're talking about. So there's a captain of a Navy ship, and the Navy ship is called the USS Benfold. And Captain Michael Abrashoff got into USS Benfold, and it's an Arleigh Burke class destroyer. Now, not everybody knows what that is, but what that is one of the most technologically advanced ships on the ocean today. And they're in like block 3 or something of them. When he first got on this ship, it was operating, because the Navy has judgments, was operating in the bottom tier of all of its ships. By the time he left, it was renowned as the best ship on the sea, bar none. And what he started with is see the ship through the eyes of the sailor. And so then he posted across the ship, it's your ship. So that's what a stakeholder conversation looks like, is it's your ship, okay? It's your firm, it's your business. Let's help our teammates, let's help our stakeholders, let's help our management start operating as people that own the ship, okay? So these are the people that are involved. When you first start this process, it should start with ownership. The people that are owning the business have the most at stake. There's no question. You are the ones making the investment in individuals, in teammates, and then in stakeholders. And I see them kind of in that ratcheting up. When you first meet people, they're individuals. They can become teammates. Once we get them where they need to be, they're now stakeholders. So think about it from that progression of as you're thinking about it. So all elements probably need some say. Maybe not that, in some small business owners, especially myself, you say, well, everybody gets a say. Kind of ruffles my feathers. But when you're deciding the why, okay, we're going to have more than just management, more than just ownership in that decision-making process, because everybody has to be able to then live that why. So very important thought there. The next thing to think about is when you determine your why, here's the fact. This is hours and sessions, okay? Small business owners, hours and sessions. We're not knocking this out and then we're going to live with it. It's iterational. We're probably on the third or fourth iteration of the same core concept about HKA, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And as you look through this iteration, it gets better and better. And the more iterations you have, probably you've got more stakeholders involved. You've got people that are now operationally investing in, owning the ship, and are starting to say, we probably ought to say this and not this. We probably ought to do this and not this. It's still the same fundamental thing that probably started from ownership. Small business like HKA, I don't have a backup plan. This is my plan. This is what I do, okay? And so now I need everybody else to help me push this thing forward. And I need them more today than I've ever needed them. So that iteration makes it better, because when other people are helping you evolve, then you are evolving, and probably the owners are evolving this too. The last thing to think about is we got to get the word out. Once you start changing your why, your business will follow. Trust me, and it will be it will transition you personally in a matter of nights, probably. If you listen to Simon Sinek's video and then you go back to this video and you start thinking about it, I think you'll embrace it, and then you should call us and we'll help you get this done. But we got to get the word out. Our team has to be floating this. They have to live this. Our customers have to know that we're transitioning into this different phase, this maybe more mature phase. Maybe it's not a plateau, whatever you want to say on that bell curve, but we are transitioning. So the customers need to know it, because they're going to now feel empowered that they've been chosen to be a customer. Okay. And then our vendors must live the credo. If they aren't in there, then we will be making tough decisions about customers and vendors and obviously teammates. So let's keep going. Crafting your why. Remember, iterational, sessions, not session, hours, not hour. It takes time. Where I want you to start as a small business owner is right here. Start here. Describe your best day. Put yourself into that state where you can close your eyes and remember a half dozen of your best days. And then write down those adjectives. Write down the verbs, whatever it is. Write down whatever it is that if you say that one word or that one word or that 2 or 3 words, it'll take you right back there. You can feel being in that presence again. Do that with each one of these. What makes you come alive? Success makes us come alive. Money doesn't really make us come alive. If you really break it down, if you started today saying, well, my job is to make money, it is, but that should be the result of everything you're doing every single day. It should then have some session to it, because you are producing, you are giving, okay? So what should be the end result? Well, making money, because you have families expecting you to deliver. Now, families will be delivering. A little bit different. What makes you come alive? What's your worst day? The fact of the matter is we learn more on our worst days. There's no question but what there aren't some worst days that we've blocked from our memory. Okay, so if you've got a few of those, pull those out gently, lay them down on the table, and then start peeling them back. Why was it a bad day? You may get to the point where, well, I messed this up and I messed this up, or we messed that up, or we messed that up. When you identify those, how do I fix them? Did I fix them? Is it the same thing? Was it a fluke? Even a fluke has a learning case in it. Make the case work, okay? Now identify your inner strengths. How did you react on those worst days? What did you do first? What did you do second? How did you feel better after? When you finally got off over that worst day, how did you feel? Did you feel like you were now enthused? Did you have a really bad day, make some changes, and then start having good days? Identify those items, because that's the antithesis of where you wanted to be. Where you want to be is on the other side of that, okay? But without knowing where you are with those really bad days, you won't know how you should feel on your really good days. So think about that. Now, what are our hopes? You know, there's a lot of great quotes out there. Hope is one of those things that can provide or help us with that inner strength. So identify what your hopes are. Where do you really want it? Where does this run? What is the run length of this? What is your run length? And that absolutely is by individual, by team member, by stakeholder. Everybody may have a different hope. Start management, owners, start there. What are you looking for? And remember, when you look at these things, you're starting to get the idea that, you know, if I can describe my best days and my worst days, know how not to repeat those worst days, things will get better. Well, things are getting better, then does it tell me also that the changes I'm making are working? You can see how knowing your why, answering these questions, putting this together is going to impact your business. So get real quick through this. Fulfillment scenarios. What are your top accomplishments? When you get to your fulfillment scenario, I feel fulfilled when I what? When I what? Ask yourself those questions, and that'll enable you then to paint that scenario. If we practice those scenarios, it's just like dry fire with a handgun. If you practice those scenarios, if you ever get into the opportunity to use them, you will be better at it because you're already ready for it, okay? Do that dry fire. What's it look like? What does my fulfillment scenario look like? What are my top accomplishments? Now, both of those are interrelated, right? So I have some top accomplishments. Man, I want to do that again. Well, then how do I get to a fulfillment scenario to do that? How do I practice through so that I can repeat this very, very successful top accomplishment? See how those work together. We've already kind of talked about your worst days. Worst failures go with worst days. Typically, worst days are individual. They're about something that happened to you or a teammate or a person. Worst failures tend to be business oriented. This proposal didn't go the way I wanted to. This opportunity we messed up on, or we missed it. So two different things. They're not repetitive. They will have similar items, but they're not repetitive. Build the case. This is the case, folks, for developing your why. Now, your why is something you say. It's something the team says. It's something your stakeholders say. It's something you think. It's something you believe in, and you then live through that why. So if you step back, understanding what that is, you can see from this slide how it impacts your business. Everything can change. You may find that your why changes everything. So who's on the team? You may find that in order to accomplish scenarios each and every time, that you need to have different team members on the team. You may find that the processes you have in place need to be changed in order to have different team members, in order to have different outcomes. What is my training program? It just pops in there. Well, I know this is the process. Does anybody else know that process? Is it replicatable? Have I even documented it? Are you training towards it? in order to repeat those things, in order to get back to those days of fulfillment. All of this comes bound from, have I properly identified talent? In today's environment, we have to really look at this. We're more technological than we've ever been. We have hybrid work rules now coming into play. We are embracing diversity like never before in all aspects of diversity. When we look at those things, identifying the talent pool we need is important. If we don't know our why, we won't even know what our talent pool should be out of. So got to know that why. Finally, understanding your client. Look through the eyes of the sailor, right? Look through the eyes of your client. Too often we say, well, we did this, this, and this. What do they expect? Let's start over from the client's perspective. Now look through there. Did we really do everything? Did we give them the opportunity? Did we prevent options? Were we forceful enough to get them to see the importance of action as opposed to inaction? We have to understand our clients, and each client is different. Each client is different. And so you may come down to, this client is this client is this client is this. You may have 3 or 4 different levels of clients. Might be a good time to start categorizing them in those levels of clients. We have clients at HKA that say, Bill, whatever you want to do, will you just do it? Tell me what it's going to cost and get it done. Now, that's a terrific way to go. You have to be careful with that. Everybody does, because there's always that second client, right, that says, give me the options. That's kind of the bigger bulk of ours. What options do I have? Here's your options. You decide. Well, what if I decide to do nothing? No big deal. We've presented you with the options. We're better at that now. That's from knowing our why. What is our why? Knowing your why. Then it helps us understand our client. It helps us react to our client. It helps us present to our client. And of course, it helps succeed with the client. So you may find yourself surprised that we're wasting a lot of gross profit on ill-fitting clients. And that is one of the biggest steps in knowing your why, how it impacts the team, how it impacts your client, how it impacts your business, each one of those, following one from the other. We are almost halfway through the slides. Catherine, any questions yet?
We don't have any questions yet, but
Okay.
You still have plenty of time to send me something if you're thinking of something, but haven't said it or typed it out loud yet.
Awesome. So you've heard me already talk about who Admiral McRaven is. So Admiral McRaven, he's now in charge of the University of Texas system. He is the chancellor for all of the UT system. 4-star admiral. He was in charge of, or I should just say it properly, he was the commander of U.S. Special Operations. And so when you think about that, he was in charge of the best of the best. He was in charge of Special Forces, SEALs, Delta Force, Rangers, Marine Corps, Marine Force Recon, each one of those. He's in charge of those guys. Okay. Now they say there's 69,000 people. That would include their support, because those groups, there's not 69,000 people in those groups who are actual operators. But he gave a couple of very famous commencement speeches. One of them was at the University of Texas in 2014, as on this 10 lessons. And in the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the 10 lessons. He also did a wonderful speech to MIT in 2020 in their commencement. And he says, go forth and be the heroes you need to be. When we focus on our why, it's going to help us remember what's the hero we need to be. So here are Admiral McRaven's top 10 things. When you think through this, I've put some notes next to them. So 10 things. Now let's apply the why. Why we do what we do. Why our goal is to be enthused about going to work and then come home fulfilled every single day. Not some of the time, not part of the time, not most of the time. Our goal is to be there every day. My wife tells me all the time, don't measure yourself against others. Measure yourself against the best of who you can be. So not just once in a while should we go to work inspired and come home fulfilled. Every day we should seek to go to work inspired and come home fulfilled. So the first one, start the day with a task completed. The name of his book, by the way, is Make Your Bed, Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World. It's a quick read, folks. grab it. It's a terrific read. And I think there's some, the thing about this book is it's short enough, it's sweet enough. You'll underline a lot of stuff. You may read it 2 or 3 times. I have. But what you'll find is there's a lot of duh, but it's nice to see a whole lot of that stuff sitting there for you to now act on and do something about. But let's go through these real quick. Pay pools. Find someone to help you paddle. The fact of the matter is we can't do it all. That's just the fact of the matter is, as soon as we figure out we can't do it all, then guess what? We're the strongest we've ever been, because now we'll surround ourselves with people who can do it all. With everybody together, we put all those people together. Now we can do it all. I myself cannot. That makes me stronger. Okay. So find someone to help you paddle. I think that's a wonderful one. The next one, respect everyone. We've moved from being employer-employee. Now, not everybody has, but the best of the best, they're going to be moved from employer-employee. We're going to have stakeholders now. Yes, we'll always have shareholders. We'll always have management. We'll have ownership. But in the context of a business, we need to be thinking of stakeholders and team members, not individuals, not employees, not owners, okay? Stakeholders. So respect everyone, whatever it is they do. Life is not always fair. Keep moving forward. Processes, learn and adapt. It's not fair. Move forward, change what you're doing. Identify the things that you failed at. Now, I'm not a believer of saying, hey, this is what Bill Kruse does. This is what Bill Kruse doesn't do well. So go focus on this. No, not really. No, this is what I do well. Spend more time doing what you do well, because the people that need you to do things well, if you're doing them well, you don't let them down. The people who understand that you don't do these things well are the same group. Nobody's asking you to do things that you don't do well. And in fact, if you start doing things you don't do well, then there's probably someone that could have done that well, but because you stepped in the way, it's not being done properly. Focus on the things you do well, okay? So surround yourself with good people. Identify the people that you can have, get more people to help you paddle, identify the processes, etc. That's number 5. Don't be afraid to fail often. Embrace your failure. Learn from it. Don't avoid it. Don't walk away from it. Learn from it. Have an after action report. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? On our successes, but always on the failures, because we will learn that. And success will probably go succeed. We'll probably go celebrate the success. Do we really break it down? Well, we probably should. If we did a better job doing an after action on the things that we do really well, then guess what? We'll probably do more of those, because it's that muscle memory thing. So number 6, take risks. I don't think you need to say much other than that. Creating your why and deciding where you are and where you want to be and where you want to go, that's a risk, because you will find that you are doing things you must stop doing. You will find that you must trust in others who are helping you paddle. You must leave it to them, and that is tough. That is a tough thing. Number 7, face down bullies. Don't hide from stuff. Don't hide from failure. Failure is a bully. There are clients that can be bullies. Don't hide from them. Face up to them. Many times you'll turn that client from someone that you don't want to really work with to someone that wants to work with you. And now it's a better thing. Number 8, step up when the time is toughest. Man, if you've had a quick failure, if you've had a failure, now's the time to really step up, reinvigorate the team, show your commitment to the process, show your commitment to the team. Don't shirk from that really difficult time. We've just been through a difficult time. COVID was tough. 2021 didn't start that easy. And I don't know that it's getting any easier. And I don't think business in general is going to get easier. So let's commit. Let's make sure that even when the things are being toughest, don't shirk. Small businessmen and women, this is the hardest job in the world. All the pressure in the world, normally low returns. But you're providing opportunities that you don't even know about. Let's continue to commit to that. It's not worth it if you don't do that, right? Because you're constantly second guessing yourself. So let's make that commitment. Number 9, set the example. What is the power of hope? Don't ignore the downtrodden in your firm, but more importantly, make sure that you're providing courage to others. You have no idea who's looking at you, who's watching you, but you can bet that the other team members in your group, they're watching you. How did you react? So let's set the example. The last one, never ring the bell. It's a funny thing, but my team has heard this enough. I don't have a plan B. If this thing doesn't work, I have no idea what I do. I'm too young to go drive the train at the zoo, so that's not a good plan B. So this has to work. So therefore, when you look at it from that perspective, taking risks makes more sense. That risk will yield great results. Oftentimes, there is some relationship between risk and reward, and for heaven's sakes, there should be. The greater the risk should be the greater the reward. It depends on what that reward is. It's not always monetary. So as you look through the things that the McRaven impact has, each one of those, and remember, this is by a 4-star admiral. This is a pretty smart guy. And he has wonderful speeches. So I think that if you go to any of his YouTube speeches, I think you'll find that they were worthwhile. So how do we now apply that? We're going to ask Jordan to step in here in a minute. But this is how we started the HKAY, okay? There were 25 or 30 of us in the room, and they were stakeholders. At the time, we probably called them employees. In fact, somewhere in there, we stopped calling them employees and started calling them team members and staff, but even moved away from staff into team members. So now we're trying to focus because they are team members. Okay, now they're becoming stakeholders. Okay, own the firm, own the boat. Okay, HKA creates rich relationships to offer solutions for those who desire to grow. That is our why. That is our product philosophy. We start there. This is what gets me out of bed every morning, creating a rich relationship, offering solutions, creating options. Now we added the last part for those who desire to go, because what we found was we were offering solutions that people that didn't want to grow, and they really didn't want those solutions. They really weren't interested in going to that next level, because this is hard stuff. So we had to add that, because our best days are when we offer options to clients that want to grow, who then determine whether or not they want to do that thing, right? So a lot of self-satisfaction. Now, by the way, there's still good satisfaction when you offer options and they pass. That's okay. It's not as great as when they offer one and they take one, but if they pass, it's okay too, because you know they appreciate that you're still thinking about them. Now, our timeline looks a little bit like this. In 2001, I left Ernst & Young and came to the predecessor of this firm. It was really a one-man band. 4 of us, everybody kind of doing their own thing. We didn't have any processes. We made a lot of mistakes. 2009, this firm was constituted as to what it is today. Bill Hawk and I were still partners. But we created a vision. And in that vision, in 2009, I decided I wanted to build something that was going to outlast me. I'm looking around at the landscape of CPA firms, and I got CPA firms, you know, the owner is 70 years old. Nothing wrong with being 70. Nothing wrong with being 75. Somewhere in there, though, your clients need more than what you may be providing at 70 or 75. I hope I'm playing golf more when I'm 70 or 75. So I may not be there as much, right? Everything's changing. So I decided that I wanted to replace myself somewhere in this yield curve and invest in the next future. That makes it easier for my life, because then I can go do something else. And what I've built then should yield something in my retirement. That's what we hope so. 2015, we really started taking our first risks. We started growing our team members. We embraced what we call upfront pricing, which scared a lot of people and a lot of our clients. This is going to be our price. Well, what if it takes you longer? That's our price. We try to live by that. It doesn't work everywhere, but it was one of the big risks we started with. Then we started doing training because we realized we needed more training. Now it's 2021. We're creating our own training in-house. We have a lot of people on the phone with us a lot of time. A lot of it is just training. Sometimes we sell projects just so that we can train on getting things done. So now in 2021, we're staying strong. We're committing to the process. We're committing to training, and we're filling the seats with the right people. Our why led us to that stuff. So now I'm going to be quiet for a little bit. And Jordan, we hired Jordan straight out of college. Good farm background, hard worker. He gets that there's a difference between running a business and being in a business and working on a business versus working in the business. He understands all that. He understands that the job of HKA is to find a solution for a client, not just identify problems. And so that's why he's our very first limited partner. So Jordan, why don't you kind of step in here and talk a little bit about the HKA why and how you see where it is and where it's going.
Yeah, so I think I kind of have a unique perspective. So I started between 2009 and 2015. So whenever I started, Blake was he was coming up in the firm. He was running a lot of our practice, and we were also looking for an identity beyond that. It felt like to me as just a new hire. We kept chasing our tail, I felt like, and going in all these different directions, which for an employee was a little frustrating because anytime they would come back from these big conferences, they would have these big ideas and our life would get turned upside down. And then, a year later, it would just kind of fall flat on its face. But then we took some courses and we developed this why. And that's whenever I first saw these big changes take place. We brought Catherine on who helped us implement them and organize us to where we're actually able to do that. And seeing the way the firm has changed direction in that time has been dramatic. I mean, my role has grown in the firm, but also the firm has matured so much to where we know what we're interested in, what we're not interested in anymore. So it's a lot easier to become a team member, to a stakeholder, to an owner whenever you have a good idea of the direction your firm is going, which is what we've developed here over the last 5 years. And why I don't think that these things that Bill are talking about are fluff. They are tangible results that you're able to see even if you're a lower team member. So it was very exciting to watch the firm grow in the last couple of years, and I'm excited to see where it's going to keep going.
Jordan, when you think about the transition, individual, employee, team member, stakeholder, owner, when you think of that transition, do you believe that it changes the way you do what you do and how you interact with both other team members and client?
100%. So I think it's very easy whenever you first start to say, this is a job. I'm here from 8 to 5 and I'll do what I do. And then at the end of the day, the business owner is the one who's responsible for it. And he's the one that's going to interact with the clients. And he's the one that's going to deal with any mistakes that I make because it's his job to catch them. Which I bet Bill loved working with me those couple of years when I was like that. I think just as you kind of grow in your role and as the firm has grown, once you realize that you have an impact on the firm directly in what you do, you have an impact on the bottom line, you have an impact on the client that changes your perspective from more of a passive, I'm going to try to do my job right, to an active, I'm going to do my job right.
Do you see, is that the same kind of thought process if you go back to the captain of the Arleigh Burke he says, it's your ship. Do you feel like it is your ship? Does that change how you may interact with the client and how you may do it?
Absolutely. So I think the key there is recognition. So you're recognizing me as a valued teammate makes me want to put more effort into making the company better. I think that's what happened on the ship as well. You take ownership of it, even if you don't technically own it, you take pride in your work, and that allows you to produce better work.
Awesome. Is there anything you would say to the small business owner right now that's listening to this webinar, maybe listening to it in the future? Is this, you said earlier, the why? This is not fluff stuff. Tell me a little bit about that. Break that down for me just a little bit more.
I have, I'm a bit of I'll call it a realist and not a pessimist, but I think a lot of times whenever you talk about these kind of intangible things with the business, sometimes to me it feels like it's just people talking to hear their ideas out there and then no real results occur. I have seen the actual results of this happening. The fruits of the labor have been harvested at this point or continue to be harvested. So I don't think that it is fluff, because I was able to see such a pivot in the business and how we were able to just kind of shed the things that we didn't want to be doing. We kind of were able to grow because of that.
So when you think about, I call it iterational. I think we probably focus on our why. We focus on our why, I think, on a daily basis. Help us understand when Kruse says it's iterational, what does that mean from a stakeholder perspective?
It's probably a little bit of the first part that I talked about whenever I first started. we were kind of looking to find our own identity. You're not going to get it on the first try. We certainly did not. However, I think once you have taken the time to identify why you're in business and what you're looking to create and bring to your business, you're then able to kind of actually take real tangible steps forward. It's certainly not I decided it in an hour afternoon lunch. It's going to be more than that.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so that's how we got there. Our small businessmen and women need to understand that this is work. This is hard work. It's something we do every single day. So as we start wrapping up the slides, and we are in the back end of the slide, so I'll ask Catherine at the end of this slide if there are any other questions. Let's go back to it. If you haven't started writing down any notes, if you haven't started writing down some of these things, here's a quick precursor. What is your best day? Just think, let's think about the good stuff. What's your best day? What makes you come alive? Focus on that stuff. I am not someone who does a good job or who has the capability of really finding the things that I feel and putting them in words. So find those other stakeholders in your life who can help you say the things. And then you'll say something like, remember when we did this? And then the other person may say, boom, boom, boom. And you you can say, yes, that, and then more. And then they'll help you explain that. And I think that's important. And I think that's one of the great things about having stakeholders versus teammates even. So it's just a little bit different. That teammate is someone that you rely on, but a stakeholder is someone who has skin in the game. It's a little bit different. So when you bring all these together, you bring this power together and you start delivering on your why. Let's go back to the HKA why. HKA creates rich relationships to offer solutions for those who desire to grow. We have changed our business. So it's a tough thing in our business to sit down with a client who is not in the desire to grow, but desire to grow can mean I'm changing my life. I'm going into a different role here. Okay, great. That's growth. We're changing. But someone who really just thinks everything's fine, would you leave me alone? That's okay. We may not be the best fit for that client. Those are tough decisions. Okay, so when you start thinking about it, knowing your why, small business owner, you may be making some tough decisions. It will change how you market yourself. It will change how you see yourself and those kind of things. So how did you answer those questions? Okay, give us a call. Let us know if you've got a question here. If you didn't quite get there, if you kind of missed it. And remember, the riddle you're trying to solve is, I go to work inspired. I come home fulfilled by what I did when I was at work. So let's start putting this stuff together. Okay, here's our key takeaways as we wrap this up. HKA wants to help. This is tough stuff. You can do this on your own. Don't do it on your own. Bring the stakeholders in. Discipline is necessary. That's where HKA can come in here. We can help you get started. We can facilitate these meetings. We can help challenge you. That's something we're really good at, is challenging your assumptions. And we can help you with that collaboration. So get us engaged, because we want to be engaged with you. That's why you're invited to this webinar. We want to be engaged with you. The next part is the hardest thing to do, especially for a small business owner. And I count myself in that. Man, we're just impatient. Are we not done yet? No, you're not. You are never going to be done. Okay. As long as you are engaged in your business, you are not done. So getting it right takes time, energy. You're going to get dirty. When you make the shortcuts, you'll find out that it was a false sense. So don't do it. Slow is fast. Fast is slow. Next thing, the why impacts all aspects of the business. I hope that from Jordan, you've heard that identifying our why has helped us identify who our team members are, who our stakeholders will be, who our clients are, what kind of vendor relationship we want to have. Each one of those. Okay, so in all aspects of business. And if you don't know your why, how on earth could you really improve or build your business? It's really difficult. I think those of us who have been building and improving our business kind of do know our why, and we're operating off of that because we have an internal sense of that commitment. Putting it out there and getting your stakeholders involved will transform your business. So as we start to wrap up here, I want to say that when you look at the key takeaways, one of the things, Inc.com today, in today's Inc.com, had an article called "The 2 Words the World's Best Bosses Don't Want to Hear." It was written by Lindsay Blakely. And I apologize to Lindsay if I am mispronouncing her last name. It's at lindsayblakely.com, blakey.com. Anyway, so 2 words the world's best bosses don't want to hear. You're right. That's tough, and it's true. You know, we start most of our days at HKA with a kind of a round table. And sometimes it's hard to have someone tell you you're wrong. You never get used to it. Rarely, though, does something not good come from it. If you just say you're right and move on, did you leave something on the table? Don't leave it on the table. The 2 words the world's best bosses don't want to hear is you're right. Let us help you figure out where you are wrong and build on that. Being wrong isn't a bad thing. Remember, failure is not bad. Catherine, any questions that you can see?
No questions, but we are going to post this on YouTube, and we will continue to let people know when our next sessions are. Do you want to talk a little bit, Bill, about what the upcoming session is?
So this is the first, as it says here, of a multi-part series. Yeah, so we're going to get our hands dirty with each one of these things. I'm going to ask you to bring pencil and paper. And if you want to call us in advance and help you get ready for each one of these so you can make them very productive, please do so. Our goal is to give you the tools to transform your business. I believe disruption is going to continue to come. It's going to come faster than we've ever seen it. We have a lot of outside factors going on right now, okay? The economy is what it is. We have a lot of things going on with government that will change the economy. We have a lot of things going on with the COVID that are just now starting to come to the market. All those things are going to put pressure on small business. And one of the pressures is going to be that people are going to redefine productivity. There's a whole lot of redefinition that's sitting out there getting ready to be deployed because we found a different way to transact with each other. So I think there's going to be a lot of disruption coming in the next 18 months. I want you to be ready for it. So we're going to give you those tools. We're going to help you to transform your business. So our next webinar series, our next one is goal setting. It's in July. It's the first Thursday in July. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to challenge what you think of when you think about what is your goal. Remember, not about hopes. Hopes are a product of it. Hopes can be an element of it, not a product of it. But the goal is something that is achievable if you stretch. So without anything else, I'll turn it over to Jordan. Any final comments?
I do want to make a crack about you riding the train at the zoo. Like, that's just not a realistic future goal for you. It'll never be able to support you.
That's true. Catherine, anything on your mind you want to end with?
Nope, I think this is great. If you'd like the slides, feel free to email or call the office.
All right. I want to thank everybody for attending. Have a great day. Get started. There's no time like the present. We'll see you.
Bye, everyone.